Hello and welcome to the cert-manager bi-weekly meeting. It is Thursday, the 21st of August. Uh, as you can see from the shared document, we already have some action items before the meeting already began. There's been some technical issues here at at the cert-manager bi-weekly. Um, First of all, my I have access to emails for Zoom logins, and second, our normal document, the normal agenda document, is currently in a read-only state due to the account it's currently attached to. So we've got two actions to fix those already, but let's jump into the actual agenda items this week. So cool. We have no announcements this week, I can see, but if given the Gox read only, if anyone has any announcements they want to make, shout up now.
We have released the Trust Manager with some minor features. Um, that's it. No complaints. And we are using it in our clusters, so it's working.
Cool, cool.
Mm.
I think Ash did a few releases of various components before he went on paternity as well. If I look at the cert-manager uh, account, I think he did OpenShift roots and CAS issuer. I'm not sure what's changing there, but I probably will bump in some dependency versions.
I also think there is work in progress to do patch releases of Cert Manager because there is a vulnerability which is reported by Trivy. So
Cool.
Ashley started on it before he left on paternity leave, but I think Richard has taken over. So maybe early next week or maybe tomorrow.
Okay. So let's call that, that's it for the announcements. Let's have a look at the agenda. So the agenda, I can't share when there's a doc open. I can't share my screen, so I'll have to just read it you. First up on the agenda, we have Erik talking about the Trust Manager bundle, the Cluster Bundle Migration Controller PR.
I would probably suggest that Hemant start if you can, because my two items are probably a bit long.
Okay.
So we could use the spare time at the end, or
Okay.
uh,
So in that case, let's talk about returning the Renovate config to the primary repo. Uh, that's been tested against I believe, the
Yeah,
uh, webhook lib, and it is now producing sensible PRs.
yeah,
So, do you want to talk about that?
yeah. Basically, we had done a kind of testing insert manager, and that didn't work out well because the config was too complex and stuff. So Eric suggested moving it to a smaller blast radius, and I basically cloned the webhook certlib repo to make sure that we have the same testing conditions. Whereas before we actually tested with a fork, so that was not working out well. So now we have a better test of the config that's currently present in main. So I think we can actually put that insert manager and start testing there. Because I think there's only like three groups now, one for like cloud dependencies and one for like Go and one for uh, Kubernetes. So those are the only three groups that we have. Uh, and then there is one issue though that we haven't still solved, and that is that Renovate can't update GitHub Actions because it doesn't have the workflows permission. So that was one thing that we probably have to use a pact for. So I'm not sure how to do that.
There's also a complication of some of our GitHub actions are managed by Makefile modules, and some of them aren't.
I could add some to that. Pat is one option, but I personally would like to avoid having static paths with long lifetime.
Mhm.
So I noticed yesterday actually that the Renovate application was installed in the Cert Manager org, which was a bit surprise to me because it requests a lot of permissions. It's currently only active on the AWS issuer project, and they're actually using it there. So, I mean, if we think it's okay to have the app installed, we could grant Renovate access to the projects that will eventually be onboarded to Renovate using the app. The app will probably be the best user experience and the simplest to do. The only downside being we grant Renovate a lot of permissions in our projects.
Yeah, as long as we don't grant permission to do anything directly in the main branch, I think that's probably safe.
We have to make sure that we then have branch protection enabled because it has like permissions to do anything. So we will need to stop it by changing something else, which kind of allows him Renovate to do stuff, but in some cases blocks it from doing things that we really care for.
Yeah, because that's like the ultimate scare, I guess, and I might just be being paranoid, is if someone compromises the app token somehow,
Yeah,
then they could do a supply chain attack. And
yeah,
if they can get code into our main without us knowing, then that's the problem. Whereas, given we already have GitHub actions, GitHub blocking PRs that until they pass status checks, and one of their status checks is prow, like literally saying you can't do it without a looks good to me approve. Like we already have guards against PRs being just maliciously merged. Um, so I think yeah, that's the main thing we need to be careful of is just making sure we don't create an attack vector, so everything has to go through a pull request still.
yeah. If we are going down the path route, we could try the project from ChainGuard, which is kind of experimental, but Tim has talked about it already. It allows you to use the token the OIDC token you can get from a GitHub workflow to exchange it into a temporary path, which issued by this ChainGuard app, which allows you to do. You can configure it with good granularity what you allow it to do.
Are we just changing one app for another app at that point? We're changing the Renovate app to the ChainGuard app. Like there's still an app token being used.
Yeah, it just needs a token, so we need to have a step or something which kind of allows it to exchange. But that will require some additional work, of course. But it's a good option to use for other stuff as well, because moving away from long-lived pots, it's probably a good idea anyway.
I think that the quickest and most like upstream supported way is probably the Renovate app. As long as we
Yeah.
can convincingly lock down the token permissions, so we're confident that it can't do anything directly in our protected branches without our user intervention. Then I think that's the route we go down.
Yeah, I agree. That's the simplest thing.
Um,
Except from that, I have an open PR on Webhook Certlib right now, trying to simplify the config a little bit. Tim suggested to remove one of the groups, like the
Yeah.
Golang group.
Yeah.
I tend to agree with his comment here, at least as a start. So the other dependency group, which means any other group which is not listed in a specific group, will start off being pretty big, but we could tune that in some iterations when we see how it actually works. That's my suggestion.
Yeah, that sounds about right. Like we
Yeah.
can't like put everything in one separate groups right now, because that takes like we have to go through everything. So like when it raises a PR, we can arrive at a decision if we have to make it a different group or it's fine with the miscellaneous one.
Yeah. So if we if you all can agree that after merging this PR, which I pasted in the chat, maybe Adam could take a quick look. And now that I've removed the group that was commented by Tim, So after we see that it works well in this project, I suggest to try the same config on cert-manager as the next step, because that's the other project which has multiple Go modules, which is solved by migrating to Renovate. And then eventually after that, we could move everything to makefile modules and start using it with a toggle across the project. We will probably have to toggle it on in each project, at least in the beginning, to ensure that it's actually working. And at that point, we can consider the app. So that's my suggestion on this, on the way forward.
Wait, sorry, I got confused. So are we creating a new PAT token or are we using the Renovate app for now?
I think we could use the app, but that requires an admin to grant the app access to each repo once we decide to enable Renovate there.
Okay.
I was thinking to start off with the GitHub workflow token as we're using now, and then leave the actions for the PandaBot to upgrade.
Okay.
That's another option, at least to postpone the decision on how to use Renovate.
Yeah, that actually tracks. Like we could depend about just update the applications and use Renovate for everything else.
Yeah. I don't know what you others think, Maël, Adam.
I was just reviewing a PR and it makes sense to me. I'm just going to give it a quick, looks good to me. And yeah, I think we can get this into cert-manager. I think the proper solution when it's in makefile modules is probably the app. I think using a GitHub action and cert-manager to generate that initial set of pull requests, just to say this is what it looks like, is fine. I think this is very much still in the proof of concept phase, so let's not worry about productionizing it too much. I think, yeah, so the order of events is get your PR merged, get the same config merged into cert-manager repo, and then we can, if we're happy with the PR produced, we can tweak that config file. Then we look at using the app and putting in makefile modules as cleanup actions.
Yep. Because then you would have to perform two steps to enable it on a repo. First, you have to enable the module or the toggle to enable the Renovate config to be synced into the project. And then we will need to grant the Renovate app access to the project.
I don't know if there's any automation we could do to automatically add apps to projects. I don't know, but we can.
But then we will certainly need a path to do it, because that requires an admin access to the org to do that.
We already have a repo configuring all the status blockers. That's all configured through our testing repo.
Yeah.
So there's already something doing some pretty low level configuration of that org.
But we agree on the first steps here, so let's do them first and try to work incrementally on this.
So next step, merge PR with config updates, create PR into cert-man, /cn repo with new config, ensure good. Cool. So if there's no other talking on that topic, we can go to the next topic.
Yep.
I have to drop. I'll see you online.
Yep. See ya.
Always good to see you, mysterious maintainer. It's also a great Zoom message that from the mysterious maintainer, I have to leave. I'll see you online. It makes you sound like I must go. My planet needs me. Cool. Hemant, we got another one from you about consensus on the Azure private zones fund. you want to give a quick overview?
Yeah. Okay. So basically, there was an issue where someone raised uh, an error saying that like the private zone was not working or something. And then I checked that, yeah, like with Route 53 in AWS, they support both public and private zones within the same SDK. So it works out. Whereas with Azure, like they have intentionally separated out the SDK. So like the one that we have only works for public zones. It doesn't work for private zones. And then I checked the code that where we actually, copied the Azure code from. And that had basically a switch statement for public and private DNS zones. So I was thinking we could do the same in our code because it's like we are not technically adding a new provider, we are changing the new provider. But again, like I wanted to get a consensus because I know that Erik was telling there's some work being planned to migrate the issuers out of the repo. Uh, so yeah, I just wanted an opinion on this.
So the long-term strategy is for sure to move them out tree, much like how Kubernetes moved all its cloud components out of tree. We it is a burden to maintain them in tree, both from a code perspective with all the libraries, but also we don't have the infrastructure to test all these.
Yeah.
So having them broken out of tree means we can do our best efforts, but hopefully they can be adopted by people who can actually test them. So yeah, that's the long-term goal. Depending on like maintainer or contributor ability to actually deliver that, that's not going to happen like tomorrow or next
Yeah,
week or
that's
next
true.
month. Adding this feature to the existing one, I have mixed feelings. On the one hand, I can see the frustration from users given that it's sorted by Route 53, but like that's not really intentional. That's just because Route 53 don't separate their APIs. Um, on the other hand, like we did say, we're not going to add any more providers, and it just counts as another provider. Like it's using a whole different SDK. I don't know. I'm leaning towards if it's a very small code change, I'm leaning towards implementing it.
Okay.
If it's bigger, I'll be leaning towards not. Like I think
Okay.
it really depends on the size of the code change.
Yeah.
Hemant, one question. Did I understand what you're saying correctly? Does it mean that we could switch to the other SDK first, and then we could use the switch? There is a switch in the other SDK.
No, it's like two different like libraries, one for like private DNS, one for public DNS.
Okay, so we just need to add some new dependencies and then write the code for the toggle around public or private, right?
Yeah. That's basically that's basically the changes. So I was like, maybe we can do it because yeah, it's not like adding a new provider or anything. And it's kind of like on the par with AWS because AWS supports private zones. But yeah, as Adam said, maybe if it's like a big change, maybe not. But yeah, I'll try to code it up. I started coding it and then I wanted to like get an opinion before I, went ahead.
I think yeah, if you start coding, if you get to the point where you're like 30 files in or like 5 files in, I think pause your work and bring it to us again because I don't like the idea of doing massive sweeping changes to something that we genuinely don't touch very often. But if it is literally a switch statement saying if it's public, use this client, if it's private, use this client, and otherwise semantically the same, then that's the kind of PR I could get behind.
Okay, sure. Yeah.
How's the test coverage on the public right now? Is it 0 or is it just something small or is it full test coverage?
I think most of the test came from the other Lego code that we copied from because I saw a lot of similarity between our code and the Lego code. So I think tests came from there. So I would probably do the same for the private ones too.
I assume that we're not using real Azure infrastructure and we're mocking everything out.
Yeah.
I mean, that's an issue in itself, but I mean, there's little we can do with it. So I would expect it to be very little of end-to-end test in this case.
Yeah.
But I would suggest that you start looking into it, Hemant, if you have time, and you can check up with us once you have something to review. I mean, it doesn't have to be finished, but to get an idea of the complexity and the things that need to change.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
If you prefix a pull request with WIP, it automatically adds the WIP label. Do not merge work in progress label. So if you get to a point where you want to share, even if it's not working yet or tests aren't passing, you can always share the work in progress PR.
Yeah, I was thinking like maybe I'll make the code change without the test and then like post a WIP PR so that you guys can, say, okay, this looks good. So you can go ahead with the test and then I can start writing the test before investing it into too much.
I wouldn't be worried about lines of test code, that's for sure. So that sounds like a good plan to me. I would, because that will allow us to see which additional dependencies we introduce, and also to see at least some draft of the change to the production code that needs to be done.
Yeah, that works. All right, that should be it for that issue.
Does anyone have anything not on the agenda? If not, I could start with my two.
There was one more that I put in the sweep issues. So it was about, so I'll just paste the issue in the chat. Yeah, this was the issue. So someone posted an issue saying that they want to put like multiple parent refs in the same issuer, which I'm guessing is allowed right now because it's an array. But still, I was confused about the request. Maybe I'm understanding it in a wrong way.
Is this related to the work that Maël has been doing on the listener set? Is this somehow related?
I'm not sure. That's why I did I wanted to see if it's related or like if it's already supported.
Do we support HTTP routes? I thought we just support the gateway objects.
We do. I mean, let me see. I had this open. Get that call.
Oh, is this not for issuing for? Is this not for the magic that issues certs for objects like the ingression? Is this for the DNS? Not the DNS, the HTTP Acme.
Yeah. This is for that. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. What's the current spec?
So the current spec is gateway HTTP route parent refs is an array. So it's I don't know how to share this. Oh, okay. Zoom has code sharing. Nice. Which I guess is stupid.
Solvers, HTTP1. So we support an array already. Create a unique issuer per gateway, which seems like us.
Yeah, that's what made me kind of confused about the issue because it's already an array. So we should be able to fill multiple gateways as parent refs.
But also, why is it making it less useful. This is the solver. Once it works, it works. You can issue certs with it all you want.
Yeah.
This is what's throwing me. Like, I don't understand. I don't understand the why it's blocking, because once he has a working cluster issuer, why does that why can't that just be used in any gateway, HTTP route or anything? It's just it shouldn't block you.
Yeah, the cert's not linked to a gateway, it's linked to a domain, which
Yeah.
yeah, I wanted to know more about the issue. He didn't reply, or he or she.
Yeah. I would get a better explanation of the issue. We actually have a label for that, of like I can't remember what it's called, but more feedback or something. I can't remember.
Alright.
I'm looking for the blah, blah, blah. It's not life cycle. I think it's priority waiting more evidence would probably be the most appropriate one.
Yeah, probably.
I'll add that. But yeah, without more information, I don't understand the problem. I don't know, am I missing something here?
Yeah, that was my reaction too.
Okay. I think we get more information because I don't understand the problem space.
Yep. All right. Yeah. That's all from mine.
Awesome.
Erik.
It's not that I'm just reading the top of this sentence. So this is for an HTTP solver. So basically he wants multiple domains. So let's say I'm assuming maybe it's a cluster and he's got multiple domains pointing to it and he wants to point those domains to different applications and maybe they have their own gateways. And on one issuer, so if a request came in for a.example.com, that would have to route via one gateway and b.example.com might, at which point just have an issuer. Yeah. Maybe I'm not explaining it well, I don't think.
Yeah, I think you just have an issuer per domain. That seems to be the most common pattern.
Yeah.
If you want an issuer for multiple domains, that's a separate feature request. Yeah, we'd need some way of mapping domains to different like solvers, but yeah, that's more complicated.
Use DNS solver. Alternative solution.
Yeah, I think without rewriting it, so we map different domains to different solver configuration. I'm not sure how we do what he wants. If that's what he wants, I'm not sure from reading it. Okay, get more information about the issue. If that is indeed what they want, I mean, I'm happy for them to raise a design for how they think they should look, but I'm having trouble visualizing it.
Yep. We can wait for it if they reply.
If that's it from the documented ones, apart from looping back, we can loop back, and Erik, you can take the rest of the 16 minutes for talking about your stuff.
Thank you. I'm pasting the link to the first PR, which is introducing a new bundle controller, which will be the controller for the old bundles once we introduce cluster bundle. This was a thing which was commented in the initial design, how to do this with owner refs, not having owner refs, and so on. So what I think is okay in this PR is the logic to say that either the controller is actually managing the cluster bundle, which is the dependee in this context. It will add an owner reference as long as it thinks it should manage it. And then when it thinks it should not manage it, because it's managed by the user has actually migrated to cluster bundle, it will remove the owner reference and everything by applying an empty patch to the cluster bundle, and then it will just stay off. That part I think is good. What I want to discuss here is the is the logic to check whether a cluster bundle is user managed or not. What I'm proposing in this PR right now is to look at the managed fields. If we find that any managed fields have an other owner than trust manager, we consider it to be user managed. It's a bit scary.
Well, I think there has to be caveats as well, because what if I just kubectl label everything? That suddenly takes out of management by the other one.
Yeah. That was one of the reasons I wanted to discuss it here. I have chatted a bit with ChatGPT around this, and it's suggesting to have maybe an annotation which a user can add to explicitly say that the cluster bundle is now under my control. So please stay off.
I mean, if it's an annotation, couldn't the user just explicitly delete the owner ref and it won't? It'll just that's the decoupling process. Hell, we could even add it to CMCTL, like CMCTL, like.
Yep. A user could do that, of course. But it really depends on what kind of mechanism the user is using to apply the cluster bundle.
Yeah. One minute, I'm taking a scoop of food for the dog.
Yeah.
Before she eats my leg.
That's fun.
Come on. Cool. Yeah. Because I suppose in the deployment method, I think is migrating always going to be a manual action? I think it kind of has to be. Does it have to be a manual action?
It doesn't has to be. I mean, we use Flux CD to provision everything. So what I would do in this case was I would take a copy of the cluster bundle that now Trust Manager is managing, and then I will clean it up, remove managed fields, remove owner reference and everything, and then put it in my Git repository, and then put Flux on the job.
I suppose in that case, an annotation that you add to your new Flux one would be an easier way to have it suddenly take over.
Yeah, because I need to have some kind of detection in this controller to detect that it should not convert the bundle to a cluster bundle and apply it. Because that in the case we're using Flux CD and Trust Manager would fight over the cluster bundle.
Yeah. I like the idea of making it like an explicit annotation rather than some like dark magic, like
Yeah.
trying to infer your wishes from managed fields. Because like that, there's so many ways to go wrong with just like me labeling something, annotating something, or maybe a user didn't know what they were doing, editing a field on the wrong one, and suddenly
Yeah.
it's attached. Like,
Yeah. Okay, then I will update the PR and then I will ping. Maybe you could review it eventually, Adam, at some point. There's no rush really, but
well, it's a bank holiday on Monday, so ping me on Monday.
yeah. Okay, I will go for the annotation and add that to the PR. So we have managed fields plus the annotation, so we kind of have a double check.
I mean, isn't one imply the other? If the annotation exists, it's going to be owned by something that isn't the controller.
True. The annotation can only be there if the other owner has put it there.
Unless someone's doing some really funky things with
Yeah.
etcd.
That will make it quite simple. Thank you. I'll do that. So we could say that's enough on that point.
Okay.
The other one is even more interesting. It's around graduating the server-side apply feature gate in cert-manager.
Do it, ship it. Do it now, ship it.
The funny thing, I have this proof of concept PR, which is, I mean, the CI is broken, but it's mainly a problem in the unit tests. And that's because the way it's tested. I've tried to ask Richard to take a look at this, but I have a feeling he's busy with other stuff. I really would love Tim to be back because this is right up his alley. But maybe you have some creative ideas, Adam, on how to solve this.
Muted. What's the issue with the unit tests?
The problem is that the unit tests are typically built around expectations of the actions that cert-manager we do towards the API. And now we're using the new fake client, which supports server-side apply, but it has a lot of flaws in it. Like it doesn't understand sub-resources like status, so it tracks ownerships for the whole resource as a whole. So if one controller updates both the status sub-resource and the main resource, the fields will get messed up. So I just think the fake client is broken to do tests like this.
Yeah, I was saying when you expect is kind of a. I don't like using expects for this kind of stuff because you're very much dictating the exact flow rather than the end state.
I have said this to Tim and Richard many times, and they believe in a philosophy where you, in order to test something, test a controller, you assert the exact API calls that the controller is doing towards your API. While I'll tend to write testing controllers I maintain outside of cert-manager, where I kind of behavior driven. So from a user perspective, I kind of create or update something, and then I assert what I expect the controller to do with the resources.
I mean, can we just assert that it was called with no real validation and then like just test the value is right in the data store?
Yeah. Because my suggestion to this would be to change the test philosophy, but that would be very controversial in cert-manager. I'm not sure if anyone would review or at least LGTM those PRs.
Yeah, and the alternative is we wait for upstream fake client to work out its stuff with status.
Yeah, but then we probably have to wait a very long time because I like controller runtime, they are explicitly advising against using the fake client for testing. Because they are relying on the dynamic upstream client, which is even worse than the typed clients. So this is really a mess.
Should we just delete all the tests?
The funny thing is that all the end-to-end tests are passing. So I'm pretty sure the feature gate is actually working. And we have been using it for more than a year, maybe 2, I think, in our clusters. And everything was improved by enabling that feature gate.
Without delving through the tests, which I'm not going to do in 6 minutes, I don't have any immediate suggestions. I can think about it, but it's
Yeah.
it's definitely a hard problem to solve. Maybe look at how maybe migrate one test to behavior driven and see how they feel about that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think there's value when you know exactly what needs to happen explicitly what needs to happen with a function that to have that kind of test strategy where you are asserting every single thing. But in my brain, a lot of the time you only care about the end result anyway.
Yeah.
But
in this PR, I've already tried to do some hacking. So I have, I mean, the tests were failing more before I introduced this hack. So the hack right now is to intercept the test framework and assume that an expected update action is equal to a patch action of type apply, as long as the payload is the same. And that fixed a great number of tests. But still, there are some really funky errors, which I think is because of the fake clients with server-side apply.
Yeah,
Yeah.
pain. Okay, I'll have a think about it, but there's no magic bullets.
No, I wasn't expecting it, but I wanted to raise the issue to hopefully get someone interested in actually looking into it and trying together to solve this highly complex issue as I see it. It's really something complex, but I think we have to try to move forward in one way or the other.
Yeah, we can't leave server-side apply in limbo.
No,
It's a good feature.
yeah, it reduces the memory consumption in cert-manager workloads.
So next thing we do is we write our own API client, which is streaming JSON, rather than encoding everything.
Yeah.
Because that's the biggest memory contender is the watches and lists maintaining all these JSON objects.
Yeah, they have this Seaboard, but I have no idea what it is. But that's the new
Oh,
funky stuff.
yeah, it's the new encoding format.
Yeah.
It's like, as far as I could tell, it was a bit like Bison, the binary JSON stuff.
Yeah, but it's not available to CRDs anyway, so it's kind of limited applicability
Yeah.
for us.
Yeah, rewrite the all the logic internally to use streaming JSON.
Yeah.
Pain. Okay, I guess it's one of those, we're gonna have to have a look at it and maybe bully people into changing the test strategy if we want this to go forward. That or we're gonna have to do some major PRs upstream. And I'm still waiting for the Golang one I raised literally 2 months ago to be even looked
Oh.
at.
Did you get any reaction to it?
I got a few comments on my proposal, and then it's not gone through the board yet. There's a
Yeah.
review board thing.
They usually comment like, "Oh, this is on the board, and it's a likely deny," or
Yeah, but given there's like 100, 200 things ahead of me, I'm not holding my breath.
no, no.
Cool. Well,
Okay.
with 2 minutes to go, I think we wrap it up. So let's if you've made it this far in the YouTube recording, like and subscribe. You're obviously a huge fan. Merch coming soon. See us at KubeCon if you want merch. Um, with that, yeah, I will. I don't have permission to end recording. I do have permission to end recording. So yeah.